Everybody, this is your Digital Super Saiyan 3 back here with another video, and today I'm reviewing WWF King of the Ring 1994. Took place June 19th, 1994 in Baltimore, Maryland at the Baltimore Arena. So yeah, I decided between this show or King of the Ring 2001, but I decided I wanted to do this show because I haven't done a WWF New Generation pay-per-view. So, let's get into it. On commentary for this show, we have Macho Man Randy Savage, the late great Gorilla Monsoon, and, of course, Football Hall of Famer Art Donovan. So, let's get into it. Our first match of the show is a King of the Ring quarterfinals match as Razor Ramon defeats Bam Bam Bigelow to enter the semifinals. This was a solid opening match between Razor Ramon and Bam Bam Bigelow. Bam Bam Razor powerbombed Bam Bam off the top rope, and then rolled him up for the 1-2-3. Schoolboy rolled him 1-2-3. Razor Ramon advances in the King of the Ring tournament to the semifinals. Our second match of the show is our second King of the Ring quarterfinals match as IRS, Erwin R. Shyster, defeats Mabel from Men on a Mission. Yes, and I know, Mabel in the following year's tournament would win the 95 King of the Ring. I'm not talking about this. I'm not talking about that show. I'm talking about the previous show, which is 94. So, yeah, IRS gets the victory, and he advances in the tournament to take on Razor later on in the show in the semifinals. Our third quarterfinal matchup is Owen Hart, the Rocket, defeating Tatanka. Yeah. And this is probably got to say my favorite Tatanka match, per se. I've watched a few Tatanka matches, and I don't get me wrong, I just never been a fan of Tatanka. Owen gets the victory, and he advances as the third person to enter the semifinals. Our next quarterfinals match, our fourth and final match of the quarterfinals, pits 1-2-3 Kid Sean Waltman, later becomes X-Pac, later becomes Six in the NWO, taking on Double J Jeff Jarrett. Oh yeah, Jeff Jarrett. So yeah, Kid defeats Double J to advance, but post-match, Double J assaults Kid, beats him down, gives like 3 pile drivers on Kid, and Kid gets beaten down, and there's speculation, will we see him again? Our fourth match of the show, or our fifth match of the match number 5 of the show, is for the WWF Championship, as champion Bret Hart takes on Diesel, who is the Intercontinental Champion. It was champion versus champion. Diesel has Shawn Michaels in his corner. Bret has Jim the Anvil Neidhart in his corner, because on this night, we see Jim the Anvil Neidhart return to the World Wrestling Federation after he was away in WCW for a little while. And yeah, well, things get really dicey during this match, and it was a really good match up until the finish, which Diesel won via disqualification when Anvil attacked Diesel after nailing Diesel with a clothesline. Of course, Bret was not happy about this, and we would see the Anvil walk out, but post-match, Diesel and Shawn Michaels would beat up Bret Hart, and Bret Hart not knowing Anvil's true actions. So, yeah, Bret still retains the WWF Championship, but at what cost? Alright, so next up we have our next King of the Ring tournament match. Now we enter the first match of the semifinals, as Razor Ramon defeats IRS to advance to the finals. And this match was just okay, I guess. I'm glad Razor advanced to the finals, so there's that. And yeah, I'm not gonna shit all over IRS or anything. I'm just glad IRS didn't win. I'm just glad that happened. That Razor Ramon beat IRS. So next up is our second semifinals match, as Owen Hart takes on the beaten down 1-2-3 Kid. Kid was still reeling after the post-match beating he suffered in his match with Double J. And so, Kid still went out there, and yeah, Owen Hart got the victory on this show. He beat 1-2-3 Kid, and he advances to the finals to take on Razor Ramon. And keep in mind, Razor Ramon was Art Donovan's pick to win the whole tournament. And Art Donovan already had 2 predictions predicting that Razor would win his first 2 matches against the Bam Bam Bigelow match and then the IRS match. Next up is a match for the WWF World Tag Team Championships, as the Head Shrinkers with Wild Samoan Alpha and Captain Lou Albano in their corner, taking on Yokozuna and Crush with Jim Cornette and fucking Mr. Fuji in their corner. So yeah, Yokozuna. This is Yokozuna after the World Wrestling Federation title scene. So yeah, most of 93, we saw it was like the year of Yoko. Sort of. I mean, yeah, he lost his title to Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 9 in an unscheduled title match. Then won it back from Hogan at the King of the Ring on the previous King of the Ring pay-per-view. Then went on to have a title. Then went on to work a program with Lex Luger, this, that, and the other. Then Yoko lost the title to Bret Hart at WrestleMania 10. And yeah, there's that. But also there's the fact that Yoko was paired up with fucking Crush. Did you really think this team would actually have a chance of winning? And I got nothing against Yoko, but it's more or less Crush that kind of brings this team down for me. I'm glad the Head Shrinkers won, and because Lex Luger came out, and he basically was the reason for the Head Shrinkers' victory. And the Head Shrinkers, yes, one of them was fucking Rikishi. Well, would later become Rikishi. He was Fatu, and he had his partner Samu. So the Head Shrinkers retain the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team titles. So next up is the King of the Ring finals. We got Owen Hart, the Rocket, taking on the bad guy, Razor Ramon. And I enjoyed most of this match. It was a really solid King of the Ring finals match between Owen Hart and Razor Ramon. And yeah, the reason Owen got the victory was basically because of Jim the Anvil Neidhart. So yeah, Owen Hart wins the match. He's become the King of the Ring. He's become the 1994 King of the Ring, and he is crowned, and he's given his kingly crown and kingly cloak and scepter, thanks in part to the Anvil. And yeah. And yes, this also continues on into SummerSlam, where Owen would challenge Bret for the World Wrestling Federation title. So now we get to the actual main event after the King of the Ring tournament. We have Roddy Piper defeating Jerry the King Lawler. And let that sink in. Jerry Lawler actually main evented a World Wrestling Federation pay-per-view. Yeah, he did. Jerry Lawler did main event a WWF pay-per-view, and he took on none other than Roddy Piper. And Piper was like a freaking part-timer at that point. And yet, he still looked amazing in 1994. I shit you not. 1994 Roddy Piper looked absolutely incredible. And even though Piper had been away from the ring for a long time, he basically didn't miss a beat when he fought against Jerry Lawler in that main event. And I actually enjoyed the main event between Roddy Piper and Jerry Lawler. It wasn't for any titles or anything. I mean, during the weeks building up to the pay-per-view, Jerry the King Lawler had been verbally attacking Roddy Piper, saying that Piper is outdated, saying that Piper is having to insult Piper's movies, and let alone humiliating a young fan for liking Roddy Piper. And I kind of enjoyed the match between Lawler and Piper on this night. So, in the end, we see Roddy Piper take his revenge on Jerry the King Lawler, and, well, seeing the King get his comeuppance was priceless for the fact that Piper was the babyface in this entire match. So, in the end, King of the Ring 1994, well, sure, there was some problems, but I say it was an okay pay-per-view and a good watch. So, if you haven't seen King of the Ring 1994, I recommend you check it out on the network. Anyway, this has been your Digital Super Saiyan 3, and I'll see you next time.